Hello, hello, I'm Colin Green and you are listening to Spike Pit, episode 124. So it seems people are keen to talk about 5e and that is totally cool with me. I'm happy to keep up with the times as long as I'm playing D&D. If I'm honest, I don't think I really care what edition I'm playing. Do you know what? I'd even go as far as saying I'd give 4E a try, and I've never done that. Well, I say I've never done that. I might have played a demo of it with the kids at UK Games Expo, but man, that was a while ago, and my memory fades. Let's get to some call-ins.
Hey Colin, it's Shane. I think I'm going to do an episode about 5e. I think that might be the easiest way for me to get my thoughts on it. Excellent episodes as usual. I'm intrigued on your feelings and everybody's thoughts on it and the Collins and stuff. Collins to Colin. So yeah, I think I'm just going to go ahead and do one. Hopefully I'm coming from a good place when I talk about it. But anyway, cheers.
And that's Shane Ward of Gilligan's Isle of ADD. Now, I've been playing in a game with Shane Ward and he's got another call-in message. But before I get to that, I do want to mention that message is a little bit out of date. He's talking about some interesting stuff following on from maps and things. But when I think about Shane Ward and maps, I automatically think about Matt Jackson. And seemingly I dropped the ball a little bit on my last episode, and I totally forgot that Matt had played quite a bit of 5e with his Strad, what do you call it, Ravenloft game, the 5e version of Ravenloft. God, what do they call that now? The Curse of Strad. So, yeah, if you listen to Matt Random, he's got an episode talking about his disenchantment with 5e. So if you're enjoying this 5e content, perhaps hop over to Matt Random and he can tell you. You get it straight from the horse's mouth.
Hey Colin, we're gaming on Sunday morning. Well, Sunday morning for me. So you were talking about Gonzo and stuff and also maps, and I've been following that conversation. But I was going to mention, if you get a chance, check out Carl Stremberg. I'm sorry if I cocked that up. He's got some super cool maps. If you can't find him, I'll shoot you a message on MeWe and you can take a look at it. He's got it like when I look at them, I'm like, oh, this is an adventure waiting to happen. You're gonna probably get a twofer here. So then Lot FP and the Gonzo stuff. I like Troika. I can't wrap my head around it. I like the system. It's even easier than Advanced Fighting Fantasy. But I don't have the players for it. And I think that's what it comes down to with the Gonzo stuff.
So first things first, Shane. I've neglected to check out your recommendations on Carl's work, his maps. Something I need to get onto forthwith. But you mentioned a couple of other things. Troika, that is a lovely, lovely book in my opinion. Very nicely put together and yeah, super simple rules. It's got a very strongly implied setting and yeah, I don't think it's for everyone. I haven't quite worked out what I'm going to do with it yet, but I'm definitely pleased I've got it. And the other point you mentioned is this idea of having the right players for the game you want to play. And, you know, that cannot be understated. I know people will say, oh, you're the GM, you've got to run what you want to run. And, yeah, well, that's fine to a point, but I've sat and played in games where I was enthusiastic about it as a DM, and I'm not convinced the players were really into it, and that's not a place I want to visit, really. If you're playing online, perhaps it's easier to get a different group and just find the players that are interested in the system you're into. But in a face-to-face group, I think it needs to be more of a negotiation. But yeah, I wouldn't want to play anything I weren't into, but I think it's just finding that the common ground and rolling with that.
Colin, Aron Clark, just finished listening to your 3-episode miniseries on D&D 5e. I am not a fan, but I don't believe that there is no bad, wrong fun. Been playing 5e with the semi-regular group for about a year now, maybe a little longer, and I don't know, it's just not my cup of tea. I think Arfid kind of hit on it with the complexity of like the skills and the abilities, and we're all 5th, 6th level, and there's a lot of that complexity just growing as the characters grow. We're doing milestone advancement. I'm not a fan of that. Courtney Campbell, a Hack and Slash blog, he wrote an interesting blog post a couple of weeks ago about some changes to 5e to make it a little more old school. So if that's something you're interested in.
Hold on, Aaron. Aaron's got another message, but I want to cut in here. Just comment on Milestone XP. Yeah, this is something that seems to have got really popular. People talk about it cutting down on paperwork and bookkeeping, etc. I'm not sure if that's really it. From a Dungeon Master's point of view, I struggle all the time with XP, whether there's enough, whether the rate of advancement is correct. And the good thing about Milestone XP is you can totally have control of all that. You can level up when you think it needs leveling up for the story or whatever. It is super flexible. But I also understand that it's not for everyone. And I think coming back to playing in Kalmata and doing some of these sort of more old school play, I found actually it is quite rewarding to get your XP and tally it up at the end of the session. So if you're listening, Aaron, I'd like to hear a little bit more about your thoughts on experience points. And anyone else who's listening, if you've got thoughts on Milestone Experience, it is one of the optional rules included. I think it's in the DMG. That's where I'd expect it to be. I don't think it's in the player's book. So that's a little interjection by me, picking up on that point. Let's get back to Aaron's calling.
Colin, Aaron, one more thing about 5e. Those free rules are great. I used them for the first 3 or 4 months of my sojourn with 5e, which I think is now over. And I did see this really cool slipcase bundle of the DMG Player's Handbook and Monster Manual with like these cool alternate covers, slipcase, hardcover, very, very flash looking. I don't know, it was on sale for like $40 or something like that. So maybe some of your listeners, if they're interested in that, or new guys to 5e, could track that variant cover slipcase edition down. Yeah, that's all I got, man. Good to hear from you. Glad you're keeping on.
Yeah, thanks, Aaron. Good to hear from you too. And yes, indeed, I am keeping on. Aaron's got a podcast. Haven't heard from him in a little while on there, called Keep It Simple Daily Reading. $40 for all 3 books, alternate covers in a slipcase. Man, if I could find that, I would snap that deal up. But I suspect it may be a luxury only my American friends are privileged to experience. And talking of my American friends, next up we hear from the one, the only, the man himself, the man with the word on the blogs. It's Froth.
Hey Colin, it's Froth. Got your message. And I'll probably play it on the next one and talk a little bit more about it. But yeah, I just wanted to say, when you're talking about the average hit points with 5e and stuff, I use the average hit points in first edition, because the hit dice are 8, so I'll just make them all 5. So if I've got a 4 hit dice, it'll be at 20 hit points. Sometimes I'll boost them if I want something to be really strong, and I'll boost them up on the higher end, or if I'm using a written adventure, I'll just use pretty much what they've got there. But if it's like, 10 lizard men and they've got, 3 of them at 7 and 4 of them at 6, and I will just use an average rather than try to track all that. It just makes more work. So anyway, yeah, I just go with 5 per hit dice usually with old school. See ya.
Burn them at the stake, I hear you say. Sacrilege, the cry goes up. Yeah, average damage rolls, average hit points. I see no problem in that. It's just the way I streamline things when I'm running and I've got a lot to deal with. It's just a simplification, and I don't think it makes a great deal of difference. Arfed hates it, I believe, based on a conversation I had with him not so long ago. But I'm interested to hear what you guys think. Me and Froth, we're supporters, but what do you think? You, the listener. Average or rolling every time? And in case you're wondering, the reason why I bring this up is because the 5e Monster Manual has got that listed in there. It's got the damage worked out as a fixed number, and it's got the hit dice worked out with just a listing of the hit points. I thought that was a pretty cool idea. Let's wrap this bad boy up then. I want to keep these episodes a little bit shorter and a little bit tighter, perhaps bringing them out on a slightly more regular basis. And I don't want everybody getting overwhelmed with a backlog of long podcasts. I'd like to thank everybody who's contributed with their games, always valued, and I'm really enjoying this discussion around 5e. I'd also like to thank my patrons over on Patreon at Spike Pit. I'm calling them the Pit Crew because they keep the show growing and they keep it all going with their generosity and support. They're a constant source of inspiration, comment on the stuff I put in there and dropping me messages now and then, so I'm really enjoying how that's going. And last of all, I want to thank you, the listener, for taking time out of your day to listen to old Spike Pit rambling on. Take care, I'll catch you later.